Hi everyone, welcome to Ecuador. My name is Estefania. I'm part of Fashion Revolution's Ecuador's team, and I'm more than happy to introduce you to Allpamamas and my country. Just a friendly reminder, this event is being recorded and in Spanish as well. Este evento está siendo grabado para todos. Es importante que lo sepamos. And now I would like to introduce you just a little bit about Ecuador, which is a small country with various cultures and traditions. Our history, politics, and society have made it challenging to bring a proper visibility to our customs. We hope this is the first of many years in which we get to show to the world the significance that textiles have to our cultures, the importance of process, and the sentiment attached to our products. Allpamamas is a project that has been able to feel and create relationships with those who carry the legacy intrinsic to textiles. This project has become a spokesperson for cultures from countries like Ecuador and proudly describes how ancient cultures have maintained a bond with Mother Nature and Mother Earth by creating products that are conscious and respectful to their surroundings and traditions. With no further introduction, I present you Vanessa and Maria from Allpamamas. Don't forget you can make any questions you want to do by writing in the chat or after the present video they have prepared for you. Once again, welcome to Ecuador.
Gracias, More. Hi, everyone. It's so nice to have you all here. This is the first time that we are live from our studio in Quito. We opened during the pandemic, so it has been a little challenging to have people over, and we're really excited to have you all here. Buen día con todos. Voy a hablar así como inglés español para que asegurarnos de que todos entiendan. I'm going to be speaking in Spanish and English to make sure that everyone understands. Y bueno, darles la bienvenida acá a nuestro taller en Quito. Es la primera vez que tenemos un evento en vivo desde acá. Y bueno, como empezamos a tener nuestra operación desde acá y nuestro showroom durante la pandemia, ha sido bastante difícil invitarles a todos para poder compartir un momento, así que es lindo que podemos hacerlo virtualmente. I would like to have a show of hands. Everyone has their cameras off, but if you can turn them off for 1 second, how many of you do not understand English or would prefer to hear the call in Spanish? Okay, I don't see any cameras.
People can put their hands up using reactions. So if you click on the bottom toolbar, press reactions and press raise hand. If you're a Spanish speaker, that would be great.
Perfect. Entonces, lo hacemos en los dos idiomas. We'll do it in both languages. Great. Thank you. So we might wait a little bit for more people to log in. So just to give you a little introduction to what this event is, we're going to be showing you a video that we prepared that narrates the journey of a thread from its beginning to when it ends up being an Allpamamas garment. So this will allow us to travel through the different spaces and places where the artisans of Allpamamas live and work. Entonces, lo que vamos a presentar primero va a ser un video que nos va a llevar por el recorrido de una prenda, desde que es un hilo de algodón hasta que se transforma en una prenda de Allpamamas, y de hecho es esta prenda que estoy puesta yo. Entonces, esto nos permite ver los espacios y las personas que forman parte del proceso de Allpamamas. I don't know if there's anything you'd like to add. This is my partner, Maria.
Hello, everyone. I want to thank you, Fashion Open Studios, for this opportunity to show work and the beautiful, amazing, talented people that is behind the scenes. So thank you for being here, and muchas gracias a todos por estar aquí. Queríamos agradecerle a Fashion Open Studio por esta oportunidad de mostrar lo que está atrás, el trabajo que está atrás de cada una de nuestras prendas. Les agradecemos mucho y esperemos que les guste.
Sí, también a Fashion Revolution Ecuador, gracias, More, y al equipo. Thank you to Fashion Revolution Ecuador, who have been also very supportive. All right, I am thinking people might be on Ecuadorian time, which means that they're gonna show up a little late for the live stream. asumo que aquí tenemos muchos en tiempo latino y tiempo ecuatoriano que pueden estar presentándose tarde para el live stream, pero creo que ya podemos avanzar. Entonces, lo que voy a hacer es mandarles el link por el chat. Y bueno, pues aquí nos damos la marca para que todos vayamos a YouTube y podamos ver el video juntos. Es mejor porque si es que compartiríamos la pantalla por Zoom, la calidad no es tan buena. Entonces les voy a mandar el link por el chat y bueno, ahí también nos doy la indicación para poder verlos todos juntos a pesar de que lo estemos viendo cada uno en nuestra pantalla, ¿no? So what I'm going to do now is send the link to the YouTube live stream so that we can all go over there. That's going to give us the opportunity to view the film with a lot better quality. And yes, I will just give us the go so that we all are watching it simultaneously. I wanted to give a huge thanks to Felipe Maki and Farida Fauzi, who are our family, Maria's partner and my sister, very beautiful close friends who have put together this video for us. We are a very small team and managed to do these things with very, little resources, and the video is just incredible because of the support of our family. So we're so grateful to both of you. Quería darles un agradecimiento enorme a Felipe Maki y Farida Fauzi, que son el esposo de María y nuestra muy buena amiga y hermana. Gracias por apoyarnos con esto. Por ustedes podemos hacer un contenido que realmente le da el honor que se merece el trabajo de las artesanas y los artesanos que trabajan con nosotras, y es hermoso poder trabajar en familia y sabemos que lo hacen con mucho amor, así que siempre muy agradecidos con ustedes. Bueno, voy a mandar el link y there's the link. Veámoslo juntos, que disfruten mucho. After the video, let's just meet back here for Q&A. Entonces, después del video, podemos reunirnos acá otra vez para una sesión de preguntas y respuestas y también para un tour del estudio. We're also going to be giving a tour of the studio after the video, so we'll see you all back here. Ya pues, disfruten, estaremos viéndolo nosotros de acá también. Ay, pero no, que vuelvan a saludar. Hi, we're back. Hi. I wonder if some of you are still watching it. We watched it here with the whole team. Maria and I were the only ones who had seen it, so it's very exciting to have shared it with the whole team. Así que bueno, saluden. Aquí está todo nuestro equipo. Podemos verlo juntos.
Maybe pop your hand up if you've finished the video.
Bueno.
Okay, I think most people have, yeah.
If people continue to come back, I can introduce you to our team. Les voy a presentar el equipo. Aquí, bueno, ya les conocieron en el video. You already met some of them through the video, but Patricia here is in charge of sewing and assembling. Patricia es una de las personas que confecciona junto con Nelly. Aquí tenemos a Dani. Daniela is in charge of finishing. Michelle Michu is our intern here helping around with everything. Michu es nuestra pasante que nos ayuda con todo. Y Jadid es la jefa de taller que se encarga de que todo aquí corra. Jadid is our production manager. And Kim is our, well, Kim does a lot. But she's, helps in production with Maria and Jadid. And Natalie went upstairs already, but she is our administrator helping around with everything as well. Nos falta Natalie aquí que se fue para arriba. Y Edith, que acaba de empezar con nosotros. Edith is new to the team, also helping with finishing. Okay, so I think we can go into the Q&A. Gracias, chicas. We can go into the Q&A. Podemos ir a la sesión de preguntas y respuestas. Así que, bueno, yo creo que el que quiera hacer una pregunta puede hacerla y tal vez, Nia, maybe if you can help us see people's raised hands and assign for questions.
Yeah, if everyone lowers their hand for now, so you click next to your name and lower hand, then we can start with whoever has a question. If you can't find put your hand up, then just pop your question in the chat.
Yeah, I would love if questions are made out loud. Me encantaría que dicen las preguntas en vez de escribirlas para también poder ver las caras para decir que estamos.
Yeah.
Yeah, entonces lo que nos ha pedido es que todos los que tienen las manos levantadas ahorita vayan al lado del y bajen la mano para ver quién realmente tiene una pregunta en base a eso.
So we have 3 hands up. Let's come to Nicole. If you take yourself off mute, Nicole, you can ask your question. So you unmute down in the bottom left-hand corner of your screen, if you're on computer or on phone. Okay, while we're doing that, let's come to Katie instead.
Hola.
Now we have Nicole. Go ahead, Nicole.
Hola, ¿qué tal? Saludos desde Perú. Las felicito, realmente el video muy bonito, un trabajo bastante inspirador. Bueno, a mí me gustaría en algún momento poder empezar también una marca ética y ecoamigable, sostenible en algún momento. Quisiera de repente que me cuenten cómo empezaron ustedes o si tienen algún consejo. En realidad estamos bastante cerca, Perú, Ecuador, digamos, tienen sociedades muy parecidas y nada, me gustaría que me cuenten su experiencia y muy inspirador su trabajo. Gracias por compartirlo con nosotros.
Muchas gracias por tu pregunta, Nicole. El consejo principal sería, bueno, para mí sería ser honesta contigo misma y lo que quieres lograr, porque un poco la sostenibilidad va de la mano con la honestidad. Entonces, creo que eso es súper importante. Y también creo que, bueno, en Latinoamérica tenemos algunos retos con el tema de la moda, los materiales y demás, pero a la vez tenemos cosas increíbles, artesanales y muchísimo valor cultural y ancestral. Entonces, más que nada ver el vaso medio lleno que medio vacío y aprovechar todas las oportunidades que están a tu alcance. Además, Perú es un país con una tradición textil increíble que estoy segura que como diseñadora podrás aprovechar.
So the question was if we can give any advice to Nicole who would like to start a brand as well from Peru. And what Maria is saying, and I completely agree with, is to do it out of purpose, to be honest with oneself, and to take advantage of the incredible traditions that we have here in the Andes of textile. We're traditionally and ancestrally textile countries. We have a very strong options for materials and techniques, even though it is very challenging to find materials, and because we have suffered a lot of loss of these techniques. But it's amazing, Nicole, that you're looking to continue that in your country. And yes, please feel free to reach out. I would add just know that there are a lot of us in this, and that we are here to support each other.
Sí, Nicole, cualquier rato que tengas cualquier cosa que te podamos ayudar, por favor no dudes en escribirnos. Estamos súper felices de poder ayudar y de que haya más gente y más marcas uniéndose a este camino de la sostenibilidad en Latinoamérica.
Okay, so next up we have Antonio. Antonio, if you want to unmute yourself and ask your question.
Hola, ¿qué tal? ¿Cómo están? Bueno, primeramente felicidades por ese hermoso proyecto que ustedes tienen y lo que difunden. Realmente yo tengo una duda bastante, que me hago casi que todos los días a la hora de que yo quiero que mi marca también forme parte de, pero me cuesta un poco conseguir ese punto óptimo entre finanzas y el lenguaje que quiero proyectar en cuanto a la sustentabilidad. Tal vez ustedes cómo lograron ese punto óptimo para que normalmente cuando nosotros hablamos de esto pensamos que es un producto súper caro, pero ¿cómo podemos hacer que eso se logre? O sea, puedan tener éxito como ustedes, podamos tener éxito como ustedes lo están teniendo, en este caso en su marca.
Gracias, Antonio. Voy a traducir la pregunta. So, Antonio's question is that, when trying to make a sustainable product, especially if it's handmade, it can be very expensive to make it. So how do we find a link that makes the product, to fit in the market in terms of pricing, but to also be sustainable? Antonio, ¿entiendes inglés?
La verdad, muy poco. Preferiría que me hablen en español.
Te respondo en español primero. So I'm going to answer the question in Spanish first. Es un reto porque realmente lo que uno debe hacer para lograrlo es encontrar al cliente que está dispuesto a pagar por tu producto, y ese es el cliente que realmente entiende tu producto. Es un proceso de también educar al cliente sobre todos los procesos que implican tu producto y que sepan que hay mucha diferencia en cómo ellos invierten cada dólar, si es que están invirtiéndolo en tu marca versus si están invirtiéndolo en varios productos de otra marca. Obviamente no podemos pretender que la moda sostenible es asequible para todos, porque no lo es. Y lo que estamos tratando de hacer es encontrar nuevas maneras de que sí lo sea, ¿no? Pero hay maneras que nosotros usamos y que, bueno, María es muy buena en esto para compensar el precio de trabajar con textil hecho a mano, como por ejemplo incluir también textil reciclado, textil de segunda mano, que es bastante más barato. Entonces, encontrar maneras de combinar materiales para tener un precio que realmente encaje con tu mercado, conocer bien a tu mercado y saber cuál es el precio que ellos están dispuestos a pagar. Y lo otro sería también tratar de siempre vender directo al consumidor. no trates de vender. Nosotros hemos ya creo que aceptado que no vamos a poder vender wholesale porque eso significa que los márgenes van a ser mucho menores para nosotros y nosotros tuviéramos que subir nuestros precios demasiado y no queremos hacer eso. Entonces, tener una estrategia directa al consumidor. And so in English, our suggestion is to really make sure that your customer understands why your price is what it is. Make sure that they are able to see all the processes that go behind it and that they see all the people that are involved behind it. So it is, being very transparent with why your prices are what they are, knowing your customer really well and knowing how much they're willing to pay for it, and knowing what you want to do and finding a customer that's willing to pay for it, because people are paying, hundreds and thousands of dollars for designer clothing that, they're willing to pay that much. So it's about, really finding that market and also going direct to consumers. So ideally not doing wholesale, selling directly to the consumer, because if you do wholesale, the price of your end product is going to be a lot higher. And in our case, that's something that we don't want to fall into. So we've chosen to just go direct to consumer or finding platforms that take a commission that's still financially viable for us.
Fantastic. And we've got, oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I think we can go on to the next question.
Okay, we've got 2 questions from Patricia Rochester here in the chat, and she's not able to speak, so I'm going to read them out. I'm just posting them again. So the first is, how did you start your brand and how were you able to find those great artisans? Is your brand focused on giving back to the community and continuing the traditions of handmade clothing and embroidery? And then the second question is, in Central and Latin America, there's a lot of appreciation and value on tradition, but internationally, do you see a good response now that people are more aware of sustainability and fair trade?
Well, I can start with the first question. And how we started our brand was very organic, actually. And I think this goes back to Maria when she was, advising Nicole on being really true to yourself. I think that our project was really something that came to us. We weren't looking to start a fashion brand. It was more of a calling that we had to really connect with artisans and understand what was going on in the textile industry here, and being able to play a part in serving however it was that we could in that moment. And that's how we started meeting some artisans. The first artisan that we met, well, I knew for actually a really long time, is Stella Cacuango. She's an embroiderer from Imbabura who introduced us to her family. It's a tradition in every household in Imbabura, or the area around the Imbabura volcano. Women embroider their own shirts. So they're basically, most women over 30, or if not all, know how to embroider. So it was really beautiful to meet Estela's family and to connect with a group of embroiderers that Maria actually connected through one of their sons who was an Uber driver who she met. So, a lot of these very magical coincidences and people directing us to these beautiful workshops and studios here in Ecuador. I'm not going to pretend like it's hard to find artisans here. It's very easy to find artisans. There are a lot. There are like over 2.5 million artisans in Ecuador. So our brand focus on giving back to the community, I mean, we work together, we're not, we don't see ourselves as necessary, even though of course we have a big focus on social sustainability and creating jobs. We just work together. So we employ artisans and they do their craft for us. So that's our way of giving back to the community. And, we do definitely have a lot of projects that come up on kind of organically based on the needs that the community has. Like, for example, we noticed that the embroiderers that we work with needed eyeglasses to be able to do their embroidery work. So we created a campaign in order to finance that. And we can tell that with the weavers of Icat and Aslai, it's really important that they have some sort of continuation of the tradition towards younger people. So In that case, we have been in talks with local government and different groups and organizations to see what we can do about that. So it's we don't have a particular program that is constantly giving back monetarily. It's more like, okay, let's make sure that everyone who works with us is able to continue the tradition through having an income that allows them to have a healthy and prosperous life. And then what can we identify that is something that we can actually do something about? And in that case, we get involved and give back.
Maybe I should translate this in Spanish.
Yeah, it was a long answer.
Yeah, I was trying to remember. Okay, so en español voy a traducir la respuesta de Vane en español. Cómo empezamos nuestra marca y cómo conseguimos contactarnos con artesanos. Bueno, nuestra marca comenzó de una manera bastante orgánica, como Vane comentaba, no era en ese momento nuestra intención armar una marca de moda, sino, bueno, yo venía investigando sobre sostenibilidad y técnicas tradicionales aquí en Ecuador y conocí a Vanessa, que también tenía la idea de apoyar a artesanas en la región de Imbabura. Una de las primeras artesanas con las que trabajamos y seguimos trabajando es Estela, que la verdad que conocí a Vane de hacía mucho tiempo y comenzamos un poco el proyecto pues de una manera orgánica de mantener las tradiciones textiles acá en el país. En muchos casos nuestra idea es que de alguna manera el poder crear prendas y el poder llevar este proyecto de moda a los mercados ayude también a mantener estas tradiciones textiles, ayude a la comunidad o a las personas que están involucradas en los procesos. Siempre lo hacemos de una manera bien recíproca, bien orgánica y natural. Por el momento ha funcionado súper bien y bueno, pues ese es, bueno, Vane también comentaba que no es tan difícil en Ecuador encontrar artesanos. Hay 2.5 millones de artesanos en el país, es un país relativamente pequeño. Más bien para nosotras, digamos que el reto es cómo entendemos cuáles son las necesidades de estos artesanos para que realmente para ellos trabajar con nosotras sea una grata experiencia y sea rentable también para ellos y les permita mantener sus tradiciones y su trabajo en la artesanía.
Bueno, there was a second question. We definitely do see a lot of value for crafts everywhere. You know, crafts for most of the history of humankind has been true luxury, and we see that coming up. So yeah, beyond that and in Central America, there is a huge appreciation for handmade textiles all over the world.
Sí, traduzco. Respecto a la pregunta sobre cómo valoran los mercados las técnicas tradicionales y textiles artesanales, vemos que la gente aprecia un montón este tipo de técnicas. Hemos tenido una súper buena respuesta en mercados internacionales y
sí, es como que el humano está recordando que por la mayoría de nuestra historia el lujo ha sido lo que está hecho a mano.
Exacto, y tenemos la suerte de haber encontrado a clientes maravillosos que realmente quieren reconectarse con saberes que vienen de tradiciones ancestrales también y le dan el valor que se merece como si fuera lujo, ¿no?
Thank you, guys. So we have Kathy, who's been waiting very patiently to ask her question. So Kathy, if you want to unmute, and then maybe we take 2 more questions and then move on, yeah?
Thank you. We can do a studio after. Gracias, Katy. Entonces, quédese, vamos a tomar 2 preguntas más y después vamos a darles un tour por el estudio.
Okay, super. Well, it's great to meet you, Maria and Vanessa. I'm probably going to do this in English for everybody else. So my question goes a little bit to what you mentioned recently about the artisans. I kind of want to know more about the challenges that you face when working with them, because sometimes, like you mentioned, Maria, it might be easier to find in a diverse country these artisans, but sometimes you're not really overseeing the challenges that you're going to face by working with them, not only culturally, but sometimes they don't even know how to make up their costs, how to work with other corporations, how to export their products as well. And with this in mind, how has your business changed sort of thing with the pandemic? Do you see that new challenges were raised by the artisans? Like, where do you see this industry going? Because most of them were used to go to the local fairs to sell their like crafts. So I would like to learn more about like that side of what you learned throughout your journey working with these communities.
Gracias, Kathy. So this is a wonderful question, and I think it's maybe the most important thing that we are trying to share as a brand, and we're trying to find solutions for. I think there is a misunderstanding of how working with artisans works. So people tend to have this idea of, you know, like working with artisans is extremely difficult because you can't scale and they don't understand how you want things done. It's only true if you don't understand the artisan's mind. And each artisan and each community here in Ecuador, most artisans have indigenous traditions, and the indigenous mindset and cosmovision and day-to-day is very different from ours, you know, being people who grew up in cities. So with this understanding, we have a methodology, I would say, or a process that allows us to make sure that we deeply understand the artisans' day-to-day life, their desires, their interests, their needs, before we enter to work with them. So I would say that is very important. I think that with the number of artisans that we have in this country and all over the world, there is enough supply of labor. That's no doubt. It's just a matter of how do we make sure that we design working processes along with the artisans that work with, that integrate very seamlessly into their day-to-day lives, that are taking care of the needs that they have and the desires that they have, and that are actually viable for them in terms of how much in production they can handle, in terms of how they want to be paid, how logistics work, how they work best as groups. And that is, we have to keep in mind that that is going to be different for each group of artisans in each different place of the world. So that's how we have done it. In terms of the pandemic, this only makes it a lot more important to work with artisans, because the amount of artisans that right now are not doing their crafts because they don't have sales channels. They, you know, here and in most places, the markets are very frequented by tourists, and right now there's no tourism. So here in Ecuador, there's a huge lack of employment for artisans. So we are, you know, doing everything we can to grow, and this is something that also needs to be translated to the end user. You know, like really be so conscious that if we don't do something now, these techniques are going to be extinct in a few years. And yeah, I think that's the answer to my question. Really understanding the artisans by living with them, and making sure that you're not demanding for more than they can actually give. And you're giving them everything that they need, and you're co-designing your processes along with them to make sure that in the long term, they're able to fulfill. Also, things like, for example, you know, the embroidery colors, we're not going to print out a picture and be like, this is exactly how the colors have to be. This little part here has to be exactly this. No, that to me, it ruins the beauty of artisanship, that, you know, it blocks the creativity of the artisan. So also making sure that the client knows that it's important to allow for that space where artisanship is artisanship, and it doesn't, you know, try to mimic what we've become used to, which is the work of a machine. Do you want to translate, or you can just
I can,
in your own way?
Sí, voy a traducir esta pregunta porque realmente es una pregunta súper importante. Digamos que para nosotros ha sido un gran aprendizaje entender cómo trabajar con artesanos. Lo que Vane venía diciendo es que primero hay esta, digamos que quizás mala interpretación de cómo es trabajar con artesanía y con artesanos cuando vas a crear un negocio de moda, ¿no? Muchas veces las personas tienden a pensar que con la artesanía no se puede escalar o que es difícil para los artesanos servir a tiempo, pero en realidad para nosotras un poco ha sido el entendimiento de cuál es su día a día, cómo son sus vidas, qué necesidades tienen ellos, cómo quieren que les paguemos o no. Entonces un poco lo que hacemos nosotras es acercarnos a las comunidades antes de empezar a trabajar, solo como nos conocemos, nos entendemos si es que realmente esas personas, por ejemplo, hay algunos casos que ya se dedican a la agricultura, entonces solo tienen un tiempo al día para trabajar, pero igual hacen cosas hermosas, entonces ¿cómo aplicamos eso a lo que estamos haciendo? O en otros casos son la mayoría mujeres que al final también tienen este otro trabajo de cuidar de sus hijos, de cuidar de sus papás, de cuidar de sus animales. Entonces, ir un poco entendiendo estas necesidades y poder, como en cualquier relación humana que uno tiene en la vida, sentar unos acuerdos en los que sabemos que las dos partes vamos a cumplir de la mejor manera, es la forma de que al final el producto salga lo mejor y que todos podamos seguir rodando. También otra cosa súper importante es, al final no pretendemos hacer cosas que están hechas por máquinas, entonces entender también y que nuestros clientes entiendan, hacemos el esfuerzo de explicar y encontrar a estos clientes que entienden la artesanía y sería como una lástima, como dice Vane, por ejemplo, que en los bordados, todos los bordados fueran exactamente iguales y los hilos estuvieran colocados en el mismo lugar, más bien que el artesano pueda aportar con la creatividad que tienen todos. Es algo súper importante para nosotras y que también el cliente entienda que lo que está comprando o adquiriendo es algo hecho a mano, es algo artesanal y que tiene esa magia también, ¿no?
Great, guys. So do you want to take people on a tour of the studio? And if we have time at the end, we can take a few more questions.
Of course. Okay. Sounds great. Give me 1 second. Oh, there she is. Kima is amazing. I was going to call her to help us with the Instagram live tour. All right. So give us just 1 second to set up the tour for Instagram Live as well. We're in Quito. This is our home city. Do you want to take the computer? Okay, gracias. Let's see, we're here in Quito in our beautiful home. We have a house where Allpamamas lives. Hello to everyone on Instagram as well. We're here in our Fashion Open Studios event on the Zoom call. But if you didn't get on the Zoom call, at least you can also see the tour of our studio. It's the first time that we actually open it up like this virtually. So yeah, let's just go to the door and maybe we can start from there. Yeah, so this is the entrance. And here we have the bottom floor is production. These are Patricia and Nelly's spots and machines. This is where all the sewing and assembling happens. Over here we have the cutting board where Khalid and now Daniela also and Michu are doing all the cutting. So we have, you know, our patterns that get laid out, and this is where this is where it really starts. Here we have Daniela who does the finishing. So Daniela pays attention to all the details, makes sure that all the garments are, you know, very well polished. Entonces, bueno, perdón, en español. Primero vimos a la estación de confección, luego la de corte y bueno, acá Daniela y ahora también Edith nos están ayudando con terminados. We can go over to where the finished product is. So these are the racks where we just put everything that is finished. We have a little kitchen here in the back. We moved this mirror for the live, but anyways. We can go upstairs. We have a really nice outdoor space as well. If any of you come over, we'll have tea there. This is our top floor where the more admin computer work happens. This is Natalie. She keeps us organized and neat. And then over here we have another office. This is more like a private office for quiet work. Our friend Lou is here working. Hola, Lou.
Puedes saludar.
She's a good friend who's visiting today. And then maybe we can go to our showroom. This is a garage that we turned into a showroom. And yeah, welcome. We are currently replenishing because we had a lot of production that went over to Houston and Brooklyn. So if you're in either or know people who are in Houston or Brooklyn, send them over to the pop-ups that we have there now. In Brooklyn, we actually have a store that's going to be carrying Allpamamas indefinitely, Tumbao Studios. So follow them as well. All the info's in our Instagram. Yeah, so we have our garments here, some things that are one of a kind or limited releases, and then also our latest collection is up here. So yes, you're all very welcome to join us at any point. We're in Quito here. We're open from 11 to 4, or by appointment, just send us a message and we'll be here. Kim, behind the Instagram TV camera, is going to be showing you around and answering any questions. So yes, please feel free to visit. We would love to, just come try on things and yeah, learn more about our universe. I don't know, Niam, when you would like to close. Maybe we can answer another question and keep it.
Yeah, we have until just before 6 on this line. So happy to take those questions that have come through on the chat. And there's one hand up from Catalina. So maybe Catalina, if you want to unmute and ask your question to Maria and Vanessa, and then we'll find the ones from the chat.
Sí, gracias por la oportunidad de la pregunta. He seguido sumar y bueno, soy también de Ecuador y me parece hermoso el proceso artesanal y la parte sustentable. Y mi pregunta es un poco sobre la materia prima, cuáles han sido sus challenges para conseguir una materia prima más sustentable, tal vez han conseguido aquí en América Latina. Sé que es un poco difícil para la materia prima en el algodón. Si buscan el orgánico, también sé que hay muy poco. ¿Cuál ha sido, por ejemplo, cuál es su visión o cuáles han sido sus challenges en este aspecto?
Gracias. Esta es una pregunta para ti.
Sí, efectivamente tenemos algunos retos respecto a los materiales aquí en Latinoamérica. Bueno, yo diría que en general a nivel global, ¿no? La demanda y la necesidad de hacer materiales más sostenibles es muy grande y todavía es difícil y a veces muy caro conseguirlos. Entonces, sí hemos tenido algunos retos, Pero bueno, para nosotros ha sido un poco entender qué cosas tenemos a la mano, qué cosas tenemos cerca, en base a después desarrollar productos, más que primero pensar o diseñar prendas y luego no encontrarnos que no tenemos esos materiales al acceso, ¿no? Creo que un poco el rol de los diseñadores de este tiempo es repensar cómo diseñamos. Antes, pues el diseñador dibujaba algo súper hermoso y luego tenía que buscar la seda o la tela en el mercado. Ahora mismo, si queremos hacer sostenibilidad, más empieza por qué tenemos al acceso y qué podemos hacer con eso, ¿no? Lo cual es súper enriquecedor para mí como diseñadora y creo que les animo a todos a que entiendan la moda de esta manera, porque al final nos pone, digamos, como en estos aprietos en los que tenemos que resolver con ingenio, ¿no? Acá nosotras trabajamos con fibras naturales, utilizamos algodón. El algodón que estamos utilizando no es ecuatoriano porque no existe, digamos, el algodón ecuatoriano, o sea, sí existe el algodón ecuatoriano, hemos intentado investigar y entender dónde hay algodón y cómo se produce, pero todavía digamos que la industria es súper chiquita, entonces estamos buscando el mercado local más cercano, que es Perú. De ahí tenemos lana, por ejemplo, toda la lana sí es ecuatoriana, trabajamos con lana de borrego, con otro proyecto hermoso que se llama Andes of Ecuador. Ellos se encargan, digamos, que tienen desde las ovejas hasta la esquila, el tratado de la lana, el hilado y luego el tejido de la lana. También estamos trabajando con lana de alpaca, que es un material, wow, increíblemente maravilloso que tenemos aquí en los Andes, entonces también es local, es ecuatoriano. También, bueno, mezclamos fibras en el telar, utilizamos los telares también como esta forma de mezclar unas fibras con otras para crear tejidos que a lo mejor no son ni tan de invierno ni tan de verano. Reutilizamos material. Otra cosa increíble que hemos descubierto es que, bueno, hay infinidad de material para reutilizar en el planeta, ¿no? Pero también acá en Ecuador hemos encontrado muchísimas tiendas y fábricas que tenían material que ya por el precio o porque quizás eran tejidos súper antiguos y ya no están de moda, no estaban vendiendo, pero la calidad de los materiales era buenísima porque en esas épocas se producía de una manera mucho más orgánica, digamos. Entonces, un poco sí es un challenge, pero quizás me voy a repetir con esto, pero la idea es entender lo que sí tenemos, y tenemos otras joyas como la artesanía, los telares, como los teñidos naturales, que también hacemos teñidos naturales. Entonces, aprovechar todas esas cosas y la creatividad para poder hacer los productos que realmente tengamos en la mente los diseñadores, ¿no?
So the question was, has it been a challenge to find materials, and how have we approached that challenge? And answer, or a summary of that answer is Maria's advice of really working as a designer on the basis of what is available in the location, in the traditions of the space that you're working in, and starting with that, starting your design based on what you really have at hand, with the mentality of it being sustainable, rather than, you know, having these wonderful drawings and then having to find the material that satisfies that. So really looking at the surroundings. Here we use natural fibers. Cotton in Ecuador used to be produced, now it's not. If, you know, we are the first ones to support projects that are revitalizing techniques and the materials that had been made traditionally here and aren't anymore. We also reuse fabrics, secondhand fabrics from markets around here. We've even done drives from our clients. We sometimes get, you know, collections of fabrics that Maria had or my grandma had, or you know, old stores in the old town Quito have had for years and years and years, when the quality of fabrics was actually still really good, but they're just sitting there in, you know, the storage without really being used because they're out of fashion, or because people don't want them because they're old. So really making sure that you make the most of the resources that you have at hand, and that you look at how things were made before in the territory that you're in, because you'll find that there are incredible traditions that can be revitalized.
Maria, I had a question. How do you manage?
Right?
Hang on a minute. If you have a question, can you put your hand up, or you put it in the chat, please?
I'm happy to take more questions on our Instagram live or here on the Zoom as well. So if anyone, Niam, I don't know if you guys have to close the Zoom, but
we do at 6. So we have 8 minutes left. So we can take the questions from the chat, and then hopefully we can come to Henty's questions. So Estefania had a question. Estefania, do you want to, just read it out? But you're muted, I think.
So I think her question was about legalizing the work of artisans, right? ¿Cómo ha sido su proceso de legalizar el trabajo de los artesanos? I am not sure I understand what kind of legalization she means, but I can answer what we have done in order to make sure that we're not using designs that aren't ours. So we co-create with the artisans in terms of the designs that we use. So we don't use any designs that are traditionally belonging to the indigenous communities that we work with. We make sure that what we use is something that is new and that has been developed between us as a group. So Maria has a concept that we start our collections with. And based on that concept, she prepares a prompt or some sort of exercise that we work together with the artisans on. So for example, for our latest collection, the prompt that Maria gave us was with the group of embroiderers to depict visually what God means to each of us through collage. And based on those collages, she illustrated them, and then that's the illustrations of the embroidery that we see now on our latest collection. And for example, with the ikat weaving, she had visual inspirations for the 2 different weavers that we work with, and they developed something based on those references, that is their interpretation of Maria's desired aesthetic and colors. So we make sure that we're really creating something new, and that we're taking the craft into spaces that we haven't necessarily explored before as a brand, and that the artisan, the technique itself hasn't explored before. So that's how we prevent like getting into issues of cultural appropriation, not only because ethically we consider that it's very necessary to avoid that, but also because that's what where we could get into legal issues. But it really is a matter of, for us, bringing creativity forward rather than like avoiding legal issues, of course. And I hope that is answering the question.
So let's come quickly to the 2 questions from, do we need to reply in Spanish to that question? Sorry.
Sure, yeah.
Sure. Yeah, let's do that first.
Bueno, sobre la pregunta de cómo legalizar el trabajo de los artesanos, lo que un poco creemos que a lo que se refiere es a la propiedad intelectual. Entonces, en ese caso, nosotras en Allpamamas trabajamos en co-creación. Co-creamos con los artesanos o artesanas, el equipo de mujeres que estemos trabajando a ese rato, creamos todos los diseños para las colecciones. Entonces, nos aseguramos de esta manera, primero, no usar simbología o diseños que pertenecen ancestralmente a otras culturas, y más bien también nos da a nosotras esta oportunidad de innovar, de utilizar también las técnicas, mantenerlas vivas mediante crear nuevas maneras de usarlas, Bueno, ¿cómo lo hacemos? Yo propongo generalmente para nosotras, o para mí como diseñadora, la moda es una manera de expresarnos, entonces me gusta hacer digamos, estas preguntas en las que abrimos un diálogo entre nosotras, entre el grupo de mujeres que trabajamos. Estas preguntas normalmente tratan de un concepto, en este caso la última colección estábamos trabajando el tema de la religión, un poco la pregunta o lo que estábamos reflexionando entre nosotras, que todas tenemos diferentes contextos culturales, es cómo la religión nos une o nos separa a veces, como las ideas que tenemos y en lo que creemos puede ser un motivo de unirnos o separarnos, ¿no? Entonces, de ahí cada una creó su propio dios, creamos nuestros dioses en collage y luego yo los ilustré y esos son los motivos, por ejemplo, que forman parte de la última colección. Como ejemplo para que entiendan la manera en la que trabajamos la co-creación. Y bueno, esperamos que a eso se refiera la pregunta y más que nada, o sea, nuestra idea, más allá de un tema legal o un tema, digamos, ético, es que es súper importante también entendernos y co-crear juntas, ¿no?
Great, thank you guys. So, Hensi, did you still have your question? Would you like to ask it now? And then we'll come to the two from the Instagram Live, and I think we'll need to finish after those. So, Hensi, go ahead and unmute yourself.
Hi. I would like to know, so the place that I belong to, we have a lot of crafts. There are almost 30 plus crafts in my village. So I was planning to have a sustainable brand, and I wanted some tips and tricks from you guys. Like, how can I go about it? Since you guys already work with artisans and sustainable fashion.
Thank you so much for that question. So if I understand correctly, you would like to approach the artisans working in your surroundings and to start a brand, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you, Hensi. I would suggest, well, I would like to share first of all that we're working to come up with a document or some sort of guide where we have our process of approaching an artisan community and developing a working methodology with them in order to share it as a resource for people like you who have this question in particular. So definitely stay tuned because we have that objective for the next semester. We really want to have, let's say, like the initial version of this guide that for us is really important because we've been in your position and we are very happy that we found healthy and productive and efficient ways of doing it. I would suggest develop close human relationships with them before anything else. Really understand what their desires are, what their needs are, how their craft works so that you understand technically how you can apply those crafts to your design and that you make sure that you're asking for things that are actually doable for the artisans. And make sure that not only in terms of design, but also in terms of your collaboration, your productive collaboration, right? So the way that you work with them, how you make sure that they have everything they need in terms of material, in terms of money, resources, time, guides, references. Make sure that you're giving them everything they need. And how you will know what they need is by asking them and by living their production processes and their day-to-day lives next to them. So that's how you're gonna really be able to observe. So become a detective, right? Like really try to understand how your model and how your how working with you is gonna be the easiest for this person. And always, use prototypes. Make sure that you make sure that the product that you want is really understood in terms of design, and that way your expectations are met. But also stay open and have the flexibility to receive, right? So this is what Maria was talking about, co-creation. Artisans are extremely creative, and they're the ones who know best how to solve, find solutions to work with that technique. So listen to them and be very keen on this level of co-creation. Make sure that you're not just, giving instructions, giving orders, but engaging in a collaborative, co-creative relationship.
Spanish. I should translate. Para los que hablan español, la pregunta que nos estaban haciendo va sobre cómo una persona que tiene alrededor gente que hace artesanía y quiere comenzar una marca. Entonces, ¿cuál es la manera que nosotras aconsejamos de trabajar con artesanos? Bueno, como Vane comentó, nuestra idea en algún punto dijiste un semestre, pero bueno, nuestra idea pronto es poder recopilar un escrito donde pongamos estas guías o pautas que a nosotras sí nos han servido para llevar a cabo el trabajo con artesanos y el trabajo colaborativo, bueno, todas estas cuestiones que hemos venido conversando. Entonces, si están atentos, probablemente eso salga pronto y puedan tener ahí una pequeña guía, digamos, más concreta. Pero básicamente, para nosotras, como comentábamos antes, es entablar relaciones humanas con las personas con las que uno trabaja al día a día, entender bien cuáles son sus ganas de compartir o sus habilidades, qué tiempo tienen, qué disponibilidad tienen. También entender esto ya más para los diseñadores, realmente sumergirse en la artesanía y entender cómo son los procesos, porque muchas veces quizás el diseñador tiene esta idea, pero físicamente es imposible mediante a lo mejor el trabajo que un artesano está desarrollando. Entonces realmente investigar, ser un buen detective, como dice Vane, y entender bueno, las raíces, las tradiciones, cómo se trabaja la artesanía, cuáles son los medios, cuáles son los tiempos, también es súper importante entender eso. Incluso si tenéis al alcance y cercano a artesanos, aprender de ellos, entenderlo como un intercambio de conexión humana, pero también de conocimiento. Y luego es mucho más fácil y sencillo entonces que funcione en el diseño, que funcionen que se creen prendas en colaboración y la verdad que es mucho más enriquecedor.
Thanks, guys. So our last two questions came in from the Instagram Live. So we take these and then we'll need to close. But the first is, where are your artisans from? And the second is, where are your fabrics from?
Our artisans are all from Ecuador. Lately, we have been working on a few projects with the UNHCR, the UN Agency for Refugees. And we have been designing some products that are being made by refugee artisans here in Ecuador. So that's a collaboration that we're really happy to present to you soon. But for the Allpamamas line, our artisans are artisans that are actually making textiles are all Ecuadorian. Here at the workshop, Hadid, the production manager, is from Colombia, and Maria is from Spain, but the rest of us are Ecuadorian. And the textiles, the handmade textiles are all from Ecuador. The secondhand textiles that we use, we can't really trace the origins.
No, sometimes we do. Some of them are made in Central America or Europe or Ecuador.
Yeah. And well, in terms of like the raw material, we use a lot of cotton that is Peruvian. We're really working on having a better traceability on our cotton. And the wools that we use are also Ecuadorian.
La traducción en español de dónde son nuestras telas, nuestros artesanos. Todos nuestros artesanos son ecuatorianos. Recientemente hemos venido trabajando en un par de proyectos con las Naciones Unidas y con ACNUR, que es la delegación que apoya a los refugiados desde las Naciones Unidas. Y bueno, ahora también estamos trabajando con artesanos que son refugiados acá en el país. También, bueno, en el equipo tenemos a Hadid, que es colombiana, yo soy española y el resto son todas ecuatorianas y de diferentes lugares del Ecuador. Y respecto a nuestros materiales, nuestro algodón es peruano, el que estamos usando ahora es peruano. Estamos trabajando y entendiendo sobre cómo hacer una mejor trazabilidad del algodón, y también, bueno, sabemos que hay algodón acá en el país, entonces cómo podemos también apoyar a eso. Pero nuestra lana, toda la lana que utilizamos, tanto de oveja como de alpaca, es ecuatoriana. Y bueno, los materiales que reutilizamos es difícil de saber en algunos casos porque son materiales súper antiguos, pero que sepamos, la mayoría proceden de Centroamérica, de muchos hechos en Ecuador y algunos en Europa.
That's great, guys. I have to apologize to Camilla because we're not going to be able to get to your question, but I'm sure if you post it on Instagram at Allpamamas, then the guys will get back to you. But just want to say a huge thank you to Maria, Vanessa, and the whole team in Ecuador, and to our Fashion Revolution Ecuador team who brought you guys to us for Fashion Open Studio. So on behalf of the Fashion Revolution team and the Fashion Open Studio team, thank you very much for hosting this special event, and we're looking forward to seeing more from your studio in the future.
Thank you so much, Niam. Thank you so much for everyone who joined. Muchísimas gracias a todos por estar aquí con nosotros. Se ha sentido esta presencia a pesar de que estamos a la distancia. Así que gracias por acompañarnos. Y bueno, seguimos en el Instagram Live. Yo creo que unos minutitos más si quieren hacer unas preguntas. Ahí veo un par que quedaron por responder. And yes, thank you. Have a wonderful day.
Chao.